Good morning, this is Send 7 World News in 7 minutes. I'm Stephen Devincenzi. Today is Friday, the 1st of March, 2024. Starting in Asia today. In Palestine, at least 104 people were killed yesterday at a food delivery point, which involved shooting by Israel's army. Different media sources offer very different stories of what happened. Most reports say that Israeli soldiers shot at people who were in a crowded area trying to access food aid. Israel's army has said that it only shot at people who endangered soldiers, and said that most of the deaths were caused by a stampede of people swarming the aid trucks and from being run over by the trucks. The IDF released drone videos that showed thousands of people swarming the aid trucks in Gaza City. Palestinian media has said that Israeli tanks fired at people. According to the Gaza Health Ministry, over 30,000 people have died in Gaza since October the 7th, most of whom are women and children. Israel says it has killed over 12,000 Hamas members. About 100 Israeli hostages are still being held in Gaza after being kidnapped on the 7th of October, when Hamas and other groups crossed into Israel and killed hundreds of Israeli civilians. South Korea's birth rate has fallen to a record low. South Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world of 0.72 children per woman. Japan is also continuing to see a fall in its birth rate, which is also one of the lowest in the world. For the last few years, both South Korea and Japan have been offering financial incentives to people who have children. However, these incentives don't appear to have had any effect on birth rates. Thailand will ban the recreational use of cannabis by the end of the year, according to Health Minister Cholnan Srikoi. Cannabis was effectively legalized in 2022. However, Srikoi said that a new bill will be promoted in Parliament this year that will make cannabis only legal for medical purposes. Africa. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, the United Nations peacekeeping mission is stopping operations after 25 years. Pakistani UN peacekeepers handed the Kamanyola base to DRC forces yesterday. All UN peacekeepers will leave the DRC this year. In Guinea, trade unions have suspended a strike after trade union leader Sekou Pendessa was released from prison. Trade unions are demanding lower food prices, stopping internet restrictions, and improving pay. Guinea has been governed by a military junta since a coup d'etat in 2021. In Chad, opposition politician Yaya Dillo has been killed in a gunfight with security forces, according to local officials. The government has blamed Dillo for an attack on security forces. Dillo was the leader of the Socialist Party Without Borders and was expected to be the main opponent to President Mahamat Deby in presidential elections this year. In 2021, Dillo said that security forces had raided his home and killed some of his family members. Americas. In the United States, judges who have been working on cases related to former President Donald Trump have received an unprecedented number of threats, according to a report by Reuters news agency. Trump has publicly called judges crooked and said that they are abusing their power. 2 weeks ago, a woman in Texas was sentenced to 3 years in prison for making death threats to Judge Aileen Cannon, who is the judge on one of the cases against Trump. Cuba's government has asked the United Nations Food Programme for food aid for the first time. The World Food Programme said that Cuba has made an official request for powdered milk for young children. Cuba is a communist country which is run by state-controlled companies. However, since the 1990s, some small private businesses have been permitted. There is currently a major shortage of food and fuel. Last year, Vice Prime Minister Jorge Fonseca blamed Cuban workers for not having a culture of productivity. In Brazil, genetically modified mosquitoes have been released in order to fight rising cases of dengue. The genetically modified male mosquitoes carry a gene that stops their female offspring from reaching maturity, so that the overall number of mosquitoes is reduced. Europe. Russian President Vladimir Putin has threatened to use nuclear weapons if NATO sends soldiers to Ukraine. In Putin's annual State of the Union speech yesterday, he appeared to reference the comment from French President Emmanuel Macron earlier this week that sending European troops to Ukraine could not be ruled out. Putin also said that NATO was planning to attack Russia. Putin restated some of the aims of the war in Ukraine, including the denazification of Ukraine, and said that Russian forces were liberating new territories. In Ukraine, the Russian army has continued to advance west of the town of Avdiivka, capturing 3 small villages near Avdiivka this week. Ukraine claimed to shoot down 3 Russian jets in one day yesterday, making a total of 13 Russian planes shot down in 13 days, much more than normal. And on the Italian island of Sicily, an ancient Greek statue of Atlas has been reconstructed. The statue, which is believed to be from the 5th century BC, was discovered over 200 years ago, but had been left in pieces until now. It has been placed standing up with the help of a metal structure. In Greek mythology, Atlas is a god who holds up the sky. A big thank you to Antonio in Spain, Anna also in Spain, and Atushi in Japan for becoming our newest supporters. If you find this podcast valuable, please help us by becoming a supporter. Our amazing supporters have access to the transcripts that we write every day and our weekly news quiz. We also give 10% of our profits to effective altruism charities. I'm Stephen Devincenzi. Have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.